I'm gonna talk about today. But let me just see. By show of matter of fact, put I down in the chat if you've ever had a man ghost you and then try to come back like everything was fine. We all done been ghosted. We all done been ghosted, but let me know by show of hands if this is you. A dude ghosted you without no reason. You ain't do nothing wrong. He didn't give you any explanation. And then a couple of weeks, couple of months, maybe even over a year later, he just popped back up like everything is cool. Send you a nice little friendly meme or, you know what I'm saying, put some little happy birthday, Merry Christmas, like everything is cool. Like he didn't just go absolute ghost. Put I down in the chat. Because here's the thing. First off, I'm always a proponent of if somebody ghosts you, don't let them rise back up from the dead. This ain't Thriller. This ain't The Walking Dead. You ain't got no sixth senses over here. If he ghosts you, leave him in the afterlife. I've been a huge proponent of that for years. But also let me say this. Even psychologists agree that whenever something like that happens, your mind naturally is going to want answers. It's naturally going to want some type of peace of mind, understanding, some type of closure. And you can give yourself closure. But if you have some level of understanding as to why a man would do that in the first place, and there's 5 real reasons why a guy will do that. I just want y'all to know, if a dude ever ghosted you and tried to pop back up and you felt some type of way about it, it don't mean you weak. It don't mean you ain't got no standards. It don't mean none of that. But if you have some level of understanding why guys even operate like this, some of the dudes who do, that's going to empower you to move on even easier. And the first reason why a dude will ghost you and pop back up later is because he just wanted to leverage your uncertainty. It was a power move. And there are men out here, first off, not all men, but there are men out here who need to have a level of control over anybody that they deal with in order to feel secure. It's a false sense of security. So if this dude does this, more than likely he's tried to manipulate you or would try to manipulate you more on down the road at some point. But when a man goes ghost and then pops back up, it may be because he just wanted to leverage your uncertainty. If he gave you closure, if he gave you clarity as to why he was leaving, why he needed to fall off the face of the earth, why he didn't want to talk anymore, et cetera, for even that amount of time, that would give you certainty. And therefore there would be no more power. The power would now be in your hands because you know whether or not you want to deal with this dude. In a perfect world, anytime somebody don't want to rock with us, they would just let us know, right? Like, just let me know. You don't have to rock. You don't have to talk to me, text me. You don't have to keep up with me, but let me know. In a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world where people are out here operating from insecurity and brokenness and narcissism and manipulation and gaslighting and et cetera and et cetera and et cetera. And one way that will show is that a guy will ghost you. Yes, women do it too, but right now we're talking about y'all because I got this question after my last webinar, how to stop being a man's internship. And let me go really in depth here with this part. When a man ghosts you and then try to pop back up like, hey, who? More than likely, he just wanted to leverage your uncertainty. He wanted that to be there so that later on he could give you some type of sob story about why he needed to take care of his mental health, or, you know, his baby mama tripping again, or his goldfish died. Y'all know. Put I down in the chat though if you've ever had a dude come back with some type of sob story after months of being active everywhere else, social media, seemingly doing just fine, and then pop back up with you and he just had all of this mental health, and now all of a sudden he needed to go see the lady. Another reason why a guy will go missing and then pop back up is similar to what I actually just said. It keeps the door open. It keeps the door open because, again, if you have an answer, if you have the reason why, you know, maybe he wanted to be with this other girl, maybe he just wanted to go have sex for a little bit, maybe he felt feelings that he was scared. Well, I don't care what the reason is, but it keeps the door open. It leaves things like it leaves the ends loose, untied, right? And if he keeps the door open, maybe you won't move on to somebody else. You see, the moment that you go and you start entertaining somebody else because you know that you can expect not to deal with this guy, go on dates, have, you know, any type of interaction with this guy, and you are actively dating, you are actively being open to a potential person, that could close the door. It's not even like a lot of y'all even just do this. A lot of y'all don't close one door until another door shows some promise. I'm gonna just keep it all the way real with y'all. This is what the men understand. This is what the men are operating on. And so going ghost may at least prolong the amount of time you take to start something new with somebody else, because a lot of y'all are the type, you don't even like starting over new. So you do wait for that clarity. You do wait for that definitive answer before you go ahead and open another door, because that ain't really your style anyway. And a lot of men will leverage that to keep, they'll go ghost, to keep that door open. So letting you know, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just a messenger. Another reason why a guy will go ghosting and pop back up is because it plants seeds of doubt. And this is whenever a guy's basically trying to create a dynamic. He's not done with you. That's why he popped back up. He was never trying to be done with you to begin with. But what he wanted to do was set the stage for him to eventually start giving you more and more excuses. Like take an inch, or you give him an inch, he take a mile. That's essentially it. Except for in this situation, you know, you give him an inch, he'll take a marathon. He can go ghost on you now if you show that you sitting there willing to hear out his excuses as to why, and he give them to you. You're only positively reinforcing that, okay, now this is a relationship he can be in, giving excuses as to why he's inconsistent, giving excuses as to why he's inconsiderate, giving excuses as to why he doesn't want to put forth effort, whatever it is that he's trying to do. And as a matter of fact, as an honorable mention, I'm gonna just add this one in there because we did talk about this recently. But a lot of guys will go ghost and then pop back up because it restarts, it resets the momentum. As opposed to you guys being in this upward trajectory towards a real relationship and y'all gonna get married in the next 2 years or a year or whatever it is, he go ghost, and now it puts things back in the starter level while you still have feelings that were on that level before. Now it's understood that y'all need to start rebuilding all over again, getting acquainted all over again. That of course y'all can't just start back where y'all left off because it's been 3-4 months. And so a lot of guys will sabotage the trajectory of whatever it is y'all were building so that the expectations are also sabotaged, because as the expectations go, so the responsibilities also grow. That's my baby, y'all. So another reason why, back to what I was saying, another reason why a guy will go ghost and then just try to pop up later on is because it gauges your ability to be manipulated. This is similar to like the thirst checking, the temperature checking. Y'all be surprised. It's some guys that will do this thing where they like you, they think whatever they think of you to even be attracted. And before they really invest themselves, invest money, invest time, they'll do something that they know should piss you off. That should call for a boundary to be set at least. Maybe even make you stop dealing with them. However, if you don't set that boundary, if you don't cut them off, if you don't pull back, if you don't stand up for yourself, essentially, you pass their test as a crash dummy. You pass their test as a doormat. And this is where a guy will use ghosting to do exactly that. Let me see how high her standards really are. Let me see. Let me see if she's sitting there waiting for me to come right back on around with some BS. Because if she is, then she is. And I say this with respect and love, y'all. This is the stuff they ain't gonna want me to say this. She is small enough spiritually to fit into my life. That's what a man feels like. If he does something that should honestly turn you off, piss you off, disrespect you, dishonor you, be inconsiderate, and it does not have that effect, y'all be thinking y'all being graceful and being easygoing. You ain't gonna trip on every little thing because you don't want to be difficult like these other women. But all you're doing is showing this man like, oh yeah, I'm willing to play those games. I'm willing to be played with. I'm willing to be toyed with. And a guy will use ghosting and then popping back up just to see. Have y'all ever had a situation where you just sat there indignant? Like if you had ghosted, this is you had ghosted me and stayed gone, I could at least appreciate that you knew to stay the F up out my face. But the audacity to come back, you got me messed up. You see, y'all are the ones with the standards too high for these type of guys. Y'all, that's you right there, you got standards way too high for these guys. These guys, these boys in grown men bodies, they're looking for the women that are either willing to be casual in terms of the relationship dynamic while giving very serious benefits, serious time and investment, serious access to these men, or they're looking for the woman that just doesn't have enough self-worth, self-esteem, or a good enough self-image in order to say, hey, like I deserve better than that. I'm really not trying to waste my time. And that's exactly what you're trying to do. And the last reason why a guy will ghost you and then just pop back up like nothing happened is because he's trying to induce your abandonment wounds. If there are some, and this is similar to the last one, but this is actually worse. When a guy is trying to induce abandonment wounds, either create them because now you've gotten invested enough to where he can possibly create them because you love him, you opened your heart up to him, you open up to him in a way you don't open up to other people, or because you had some pre-existing wounds from previous relationships or even childhood, and now he's tapped into those abandonment wounds. That will give a man undue power. And I say a man, I'm talking loosely here. We talking about a whole predator. If he can induce the abandonment wounds, that puts you in survival mode. That puts you in a space where you're going to want to chase him, beg for his love, do whatever it takes to keep him from doing this whole ghosting thing again because you just could not handle it and you could not see life without him. And so a man will ghost you, then pop back up later. And if he's this now, he's a 100% narcissist. I ain't even want to be out here diagnosing folks. I don't believe in that, but this is narcissistic to the highest degree. If he's trying to induce abandonment, that's why you got to be very mindful. One, about the season in which you date. Two, about what you reveal to a man before he's proven to be safe to reveal those things, i.e. your last man, took the kids or did whatever he did and it left you in shambles for months and you couldn't eat, sleep, or think straight, nothing, you couldn't work. You got to be very mindful about sharing these things prematurely to a man who is not proven he is safe to receive those things and not use them against you. Or your daddy was this, you come on the first, second date and you got this long drawn out complaint about your missing daddy and stuff like, no, man, be careful about that. I'm all for being vulnerable, but I'm all for also being wise. Even the Bible says, guard your heart. So when you come and you prematurely divulge certain things to a man who has not earned that access to you, even on the mental and emotional level, just the proximity to know these things, they may end up using them against you. And ghosting, just to pop back up later, is one of the ways a man will try to induce abandonment wounds. Because once he got you there, he becomes the source of your survival, his presence, his love. And he may not even have to necessarily ghost you again. He can just threaten it. I don't know if y'all ever been with a dude. Put I down in the chat if you've ever seen or even been with a dude. Y'all, I need somebody to keep it real with me. Put I down in the chat if you've ever witnessed a guy do something like or say something like, you know what, if you don't like it, you can leave. If it's so bad here, why don't you just go? That's a man who is counting on you to have abandonment wounds that he's triggering just by saying that. It's a way to shut you down. It's a way to silence you. It's a way to put you back in your place. I don't even want to compare it to some things, but as a matter of fact, I am going to go there. It's really just like the slave owners, because you can be enslaved to your unhealed wounds if you're not careful. And then you give ownership to that person that you made aware of those things prematurely that wasn't safe to. And now every single time that you quote unquote get out of line, make him uncomfortable, challenge him, his ego, you hold him accountable, he will crack the whip on you with those abandonment wounds. I know this went actually a lot deeper than what I even expected it to, but y'all need to know the truth. And I don't care who don't like me for saying it is what it is. I was telling the young lady this recently after my webinar, how to stop being a man's internship, but this is the part I didn't go in on. I went on the rest. Because what happens to those women that are always there when the man comes back, because they're relying on that man to give them closure, to give them answers, to soothe them again, to make them feel okay again, to give them the feeling of survival again and take them out of survival mode temporarily. Those women end up being a man's internship for the next woman, stepping stool, training ground, practice run. Because men deep down don't even respect women who are willing to do this. Now, if y'all both casual with each other, I'm not talking to you. Y'all that both be going quiet on each other whenever you got something else popping up, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the women that you don't just date anybody. And so whenever you do give a full version of yourself, or a full enough version of yourself where you're truly invested and you care and you show that you care and you don't give up so easily. Y'all with those big hearts, you got to be especially careful because you got more of your heart to break. And unfortunately, a predator can recognize that. And not only will they recognize that, because they're so broken and messed up, and I don't mean this in a way that you need to be sympathetic for them, they will leverage that. They will leverage that to piece you into them, to fill their own voids, even if it costs you the best years of your life. And that's where you see men using women as stepping stones towards other women. Either you got tired of him or he got tired of even just using you. Now he on with another woman that he at least does respect, or he might use her too. I don't know. and you sit there left picking up the pieces to your heart, and this time when he go ghost, he don't come back. But you can avoid this if you use the strategies to spot these men on the very first conversation, not even the first date, but out the gate. You can use the strategy. I actually gave these strategies away. I gave them away in my free webinar, How to Stop Being a Man's Internship. Matter of fact, if you have not yet, I put the link already down here in the comments. Click that link and register before it comes down, because the webinars don't last long. Click that link, register, reserve your spot, so just in case it's down by the time we get off of here, you got your spot reserved. Get access to that free webinar where I talked about how to avoid being a man's internship and how to be the woman that a man knows he must come prepared for. But back to what I was saying, it's one thing when a man wants to ghost you, that's bad enough. But the last man that you should respect is the one that thinks he can come back like everything is cool, like he didn't just have you overthinking, like he didn't leave you with questions unanswered, like you did something to deserve that. And if you can't respect that man, you shouldn't even entertain that man. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet big brother trying to look out for you per usual. And like I always say, look, if you got something to value from this, I don't want your money. I want you to keep that value for free. But what I do want you to do is pay it forward to somebody else on your timeline by hitting that share button down in the corner so they can be blessed the same way that you got blessed. That's all I ask. I don't ask for your money, but do pay it forward to somebody else so they can be blessed the same way that you did if you got something to value from this. And if you want the free strategies I gave away, I simplified this thing to keep you from being a man's internship ever from a man's perspective. Click the link that you see pinned down in the comments, also in the caption whenever you back out, and get access to my free webinar while it's still up. How to Stop Being a Man's Internship. Holla at y'all, lady. I'll be